Today, let us discuss the remaining concepts under software process and project metrics. Reconciling different metric approaches. Let us understand the term reconcile. It means to restore. As we already know that there are several metric approaches to be followed by any software project of any organization in order to measure the quality of software that is being developed. For that reason, we are restoring different metric approaches in order to attain the quality of any software. For that reason, we are considering a programming language and comparing with the lines of code and also the function points on an average in order to identify the efficiency and quality of number of function points depending upon the programming languages chosen for that project. For example, there are several programming languages like assembly language, C language, COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, C++, ADA 95, Visual Basic, Smalltalk, Power Builder, which is also represented as code generator, SQL, and so on. We are considering different programming languages with its average value of lines of code or function points. So, if I know the number of LOC, is it possible to estimate the number of function points? The answer is certainly no, because it varies from programming language and the number of lines of instructions that are given for that program in order to execute. Certainly, we cannot assess the function points depending upon it. That is the reason why we are mentioning the average values of LOC and FP corresponding to the programming languages. The relationship between lines of code and function points depend upon the programming language that is being chosen or implemented in the software, and also the quality of the design is to be maintained. Consider a review from the diagram the data that indicates one LOC of C++. The LOC value of C++ is 64 from the table that is shown on the screen, whereas the value for the same LOC and FP measures for Fortran language is represented with 106. It means C++ provides LOC value approximately 1.6 times the functionality on an average when it is compared with Fortran from the table. So the LOC and FP measures are often derived in order to measure the productivity of the metric values. This invariably leads to the debate about the usage of such data. There will be certain queries related to it, such as should the LOC person month or function point person month of one group, can it be compared to similar data from another? And also the other query may be arising that should managers appraise the performance of individuals by using these metrics? For these queries, the answer is certainly no, because we have already discussed about the lines of code and also function points. When we are considering as a group and we are comparing with the data that is being transferred from one language to another language or one project to another project, then the similarity of the data may arise, but the processing of the software varies depending upon the programming language we are choosing in order to write number of lines of code, and the function points on an average will always vary. The other query is related to the managers. We have already learned from the rules of metrics that whenever we are considering the appraisal of any individual, we should not be treating such performances in groups. It will be always appraised with an individual person, such that the performance is being appraised for particular individual, not for the entire team, by appreciating particular individual whenever some performance is better than others. So this is one of the design metric that we should implement in our project. Hence, function points and LOC based metrics have been found relatively accurate predictors of software development effort and cost. Depending upon the effort and cost for any software to be developed, function points and LOC are used as basic metrics. However, in order to use LOC and FP for estimation, we need some historical baseline of information to be established so that we can easily identify the LOC and function points metrics. The next concept is metrics for software quality. As every organization's goal is to assess the quality and implement the quality of the software and in turn deliver to the particular end user. So the overriding goal of software engineering is to produce a high quality system, application or product. To achieve this goal, software engineers applied effective methods and combined with different modern tools within the context of a mature software process. The quality of a system or a product or any application is only as good as the requirements that describe the problem. The design that models the solution, the code that leads to an executable program, and the test that exercise the software to uncover errors. Whenever we are measuring the quality of an application, we should identify that the requirements to describe the problem, the design that models the solution is developed or not. Later, the code must be in such a way that it should be represented with an executable program, and the tests that exercise the software which will be undergoing with the uncovered errors are to be found in measuring the quality of any application. A good software engineer uses measurements in order to assess the quality of the analysis and also the models that are being designed for that software, the source code that is represented with the different programming languages, and the test cases must be performed in order to have the software to be engineered. Whenever the test cases are performed for any software, then we can undergo certain uncovered errors in the project. For this reason, the engineer must use technical measures in order to evaluate the quality in objective manner rather than subjective ways. For this reason, private metrics are being collected by the individual software engineers in order to provide project level results, where the primary thrust is at project level to measure errors and defects. The quality can only be assessed when the software runs in a peaceful manner without having any defects or errors. For that reason, the metrics such as work product, it can be chosen as requirements or design, errors per function point, errors uncovered per review hours. Whenever reviews are undergoing in the project, then we need to discuss about the uncovered errors and the uncovered errors per testing hour, which provides insightness into each of the activities implied by the metric. The error data can also be used to compute the defect removal efficiency, which is represented with DRE, for every process framework activity. We'll be discussing about DRE in today's topics only. At the end of the session, we can know what is the DRE and what is the purpose of implementing it in our software project. Next, coming to the sub-concept, an overview of factors that affect quality. Towards the development of metrics for software quality, we will be considering certain factors in order to assess the software from three distinct points of view. Those are, the first one is product operation. Whenever we are using the product, we'll be implementing this factor. And the second one is product revision. We'll be undergoing this factor whenever we are revising the product, such as changing certain parameters related to the design product. And thirdly, the factor is product transition. Transition is the nothing but the modification we'll be doing in our work in a different environment, such as porting. Porting is a technique that is implemented to do the same functionality in different environment. That is represented as product transition. A product can be placed in a different environment as the task of that product is the same anywhere. Such examples we can write depending upon the factors, and its explanation is to be clear with the help of any real-time example. Now, the other aspects of the software engineer process include the following. First one is the framework provides a mechanism for the project manager in order to identify the quality of the attributes for the software in addition to its functional correctness and also performance, which have implications under life cycle, namely maintainability, portability. Both have significant importance in the life cycle cost. Secondly, the framework provides a means of quantitatively assessing regarding the development of the product, which is progressively relative to the software quality goals that have been established, such that we can achieve the quality of any software product. Thirdly, the framework provides for more interaction of QA personnel. I hope everyone remember the abbreviated form of QA. It is quality assurance. Throughout the development effort, we need to have proper interaction in order to build the framework and the activities that are being performed under that. Lastly, the quality assurance personnel can use several indications of poor quality in order to help the identifiers to reach to better standards such that no failures are being processed in future. And hence, if an organization adopts a set of quality factors as a checklist for assessing the quality of the software, then it is likely identified that software built today will still exhibit the same quality well into the first few decades of this century. Even as computing architectures undergo certain changes, surely the changes occur as the change is radical change. The user interest always keep on changing. For that reason, we need to have the software in such a way that it exhibits the high quality in operations, transitions, and revision, which continues to serve the users well. Coming to the next subtopic, that is measuring quality. There are many measures of software quality: correctness, maintainability, integrity, and usability, which provide indicators for the software project team. We'll be following certain basic quality measures. Those are: first one is correctness. So it is the degree to which the software performs its required function is represented as correctness. It involves defects per kilo lines of code, where a defect is being defined as a verified lack of conformance to the requirements that are being given to particular software engineer. When considering the overall quality of the software product, defects are those problems reported by the user of the program after the program has been released for general use. For quality assessment purposes, defects are counted over a standard period of time. Typically, it may take years to go, or it may be months to go, or it may be weeks to go. But we need to assess the quality of any software by encountering the defects that are being occurred during the period of time. The next measure is maintainability. It is very easy for any software programmer where a program can be corrected if an error is encountered, adapted if its environment changes, or some enhancements may happen if the user desires a change in the requirements given by him. There is no way to measure maintainability in a direct way. Therefore, we must follow indirect measures. A simple time oriented metric is followed in such situations. It is represented as MTTC. It stands for mean time to change. The time it takes to analyze the change request, design an appropriate modification, implement the change performed under that software process. Later, we need to test it and also distribute the changes to all the users. The whole process undergoes certain amount of time. That time is represented as time oriented metric known as MTTC. On an average, programs that are maintainable will have a lower MTTC value than programs that are not maintainable, because MTTC abbreviated form we have already discussed, mean time to change. Whenever we are maintaining any program, on an average, the value of it must be low for the maintainable programs. If any program is not maintained under any condition, then the MTTC value may be higher. It may be taking number of years in order to process that particular program. So we need to have maintainability with the lower MTTC value. Hence, we can tell that a cost oriented metric for maintainability called spoilage Spoilage is a cost-oriented metric where the cost to correct defects encountered after the software has been released to its end users is identified and maintained. We can also explain the spoilage as a cost-oriented metric with the help of a situation when the ratio of spoilage to overall project cost for many projects probably is plotted as a function of time. A manager can determine whether the overall maintainability of the software produced by the software development organization is being improved. For that reason, we'll be considering the cost-oriented metric maintainability as spoilage. The third measure is integrity. Software integrity has become increasingly important in the age of hackers and firewalls. I hope everyone knows who is a hacker, an unauthorized person who accesses the authorized data by sitting anywhere across the globe. And the firewall is the security mechanism that we'll be considering in order to have a proper way between the networks so that the data is not lost from anywhere. This attribute measures a system's ability to withstand attacks. Attacks may be both accidental and intentional to its security. If the security is being lost on the data, then the attack may be accidental, sometimes it may be intentional. A situation if we consider between the two persons A and B, if A has particular username and password and if he reveals the same data to his friend B, then without unknowingly, if A doesn't know the situation of B and the B is accessing the data of A with the login credentials in the absence of A, then it is represented as intentional attack. So here the security is being revealed. In the absence of that person, the data is being transferred or some type of interrupt has been occurred between the processing of the data. When we are considering the same situation A and B, if a person C exists between A and B and without knowing of A and B's data, if the C accesses the data of A and B by intellectually thinking of the login credentials and trying number of test cases, he may reach to knowingly the values of that particular users of A and B. Such type of attack may be accidental. For security reasons, we will be following the attacks of hackers as well as firewalls. Attacks can be made on all the three components of a software. Attack may be not only on data, it may be on programs and it may be under the documents. In order to measure the integrity, two additional attributes must be defined. Those are threat and security. As we know that threat is the probability which can be generally estimated or derived from some evidence that we are collecting regarding the indications of the software that an attack of a specific type will occur within a given time. Security is probably which can be estimated or derived from some evidence that the attack of a specific type will be repelled. Here the security repels depending upon the attack. Every time, whenever the security measures are considered by the hacker, he cannot unknowingly access A and B data in a direct way. He will be performing certain test cases in order to reach to the particular login credentials. Such type of attack may be of specific type which will be repelled many times, but sometimes it may directly access the login credentials. It will be taking very less time. It depends on the context of the users. The integrity of a software can be defined as using the equation below: integrity equal to summation of 1 minus threat minus 1 minus security, where threat and security are summed over each type of attack. Whatever type of attack we are considering, we need to measure and sum the values of threat and security. Coming to the next measure of particular software product is it is usability. If a program is not user friendly, if it is often doomed to failure, even if the functions that it performs are valuable, usability is an attempt to quantify user friendliness, and we can also measure it depending upon the four characteristics. The first one is physical or intellectual skills required in order to learn the system. We need to have a proper skill in order to learn the systems that are required in order to build particular product. The second characteristic is the time required to become moderately efficient in the use of the system. We need to measure the time that will be following an efficient measure in order to use the system. And the third characteristic is the net increase in the productivity, which will be following with the system replaces, measured when the system is used by someone who is moderately efficient. So we'll be considering the how much increase in the productivity exists whenever we are replacing the system with another one because of some interrupts that will be occurring under the system. The fourth characteristic is a subjective assessment of users' attitudes towards the system is to be identified, because here we are concentrating on subjective assessment of users rather than objective assessment. And hence we can conclude that the four factors just described are only a sampling of those that have been proposed as measures for software quality. Coming to the next subtopic, that is defect removal efficiency. A quality metric that provides benefit at both project as well as process level is termed as DRE. DRE stands for defect removal efficiency. In this context, it is a measure of the filtering ability of quality assurance and also controlling activities as they are being applied throughout all process framework activities. So let us consider for a project as a whole. DRE is defined in the following manner. The defect removal efficiency is measured by E divided by E plus D. We need to understand the variation between E and D. E represents the number of errors found before the delivery of the software to the end user, whereas D is the number of defects found after the delivery of the software to the end user. and hence the equation dRe equal to E divided by E plus D is indicated with the several values for dRe. So the ideal value for dRe is 1. That is, no defects are found in the software. Then the defect removal efficiency is represented as 1. Realistically, D will be greater than 0, but the value of dRe can still approach 1. As we increase the value for E for a given value of D, the overall value of dRe begins to approach 1, because as E value is increasing, it means the numerator value will be increasing. Then when compared with it, some D value is considered, even then the numerator is high, then general mathematical logic is, if numerator increases, then automatically we can conclude that the value of E is increased, then the denominator value can be assessed as E plus D. Greater value with some smaller value. We will certainly get the greatest value. So, for that reason, we can begin to approach to value 1 whenever we are considering the overall values of dRe. In fact, as E increases, it is likely that the final value of D will decrease. Errors are filtered out before it becomes defects. Because we have already learned the difference between E and D. D is the number of defects that are found after delivery. Whenever the end user is telling us some mistakes on that project, then the errors will be transformed into defects. That is the reason why the value of D will be decreasing whenever E is increasing. If used as a metric that provides an indicator of the filtering ability of quality control and the assurance activities, the DRE encourages a software project team to institute techniques for finding as many errors as possible before the delivery of the product. Whenever the end user claims about the defects occurred in that particular software project, it is very difficult situation for the software members of any organization in order to give explanation on the task that they have completed regarding that project. So generally we, the software engineers, always try to remove all the errors that are present before the delivery of the software product to the end users. DRE can also be used within the project in order to assess the ability of the team members in finding the errors before they are passed to the next framework activity or passing the data to the software engineering task. This can be explained with the help of an example. The requirements analysis task produces an analysis model that can be reviewed to find and also correct errors. Those errors that are not found during the review of the analysis model are passed on to the design task, where they may or may not found those errors. When used in this context, we redefine or reconcile DRE as an equation DRE suffix I equal to E suffix I divided by E suffix I plus E suffix I plus 1, where EI is the number of errors found during software engineering activity I. and EI plus 1 is the number of errors found during the software engineering activity I plus 1 that are traceable to errors that were not discovered in the software engineering activity I. So the basic difference between EI and EI plus 1 is important to be noted down because both are related to number of errors, but the number of errors found during the software engineering activity I is represented as EI, whereas EI plus 1 is the number of errors found during the software engineering activity I plus 1, which are traceable to errors that were not discussed or discovered in the software engineering activity I. Hence, we can conclude that a quality objective for a software team or any individual member as a software engineer is to achieve the defect removal efficiency which approaches to 1. That is, the errors should be filtered out before they are passed on to the next activity. And hence, I conclude that today's learning outcomes are reconciling different metric approaches, metrics for software quality, an overview of factors that affect quality, measuring quality, DRE. Thank you one and all for listening. If you have any sort of queries, then please feel free to post in the chat box so that we'll be discussing for another 5 more minutes.